Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mystics on a Mission show. I'm here with my bestie, the incredible Crystal Marsh. Hi, Crystal. So good to have
Hi,
you.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so grateful to have you here. So, Crystal is one of my best friends. She's an amazing millennial career and business coach, and she first started out as a lawyer practicing law in Los Angeles. And now she found her passion and purpose in coaching, and she is currently running a thriving practice out of New York City, serving clients all over the world. Wow. So, I would love to get started as I always do, by hearing a little bit more about your background. So you started as a lawyer. What made you even want to go into coaching?
So I started out in law, um, and I sort of fell into that in law. Was a family business. Both of my parents are lawyers. I always did really well in school, and so law was sort of like the logical thing. I mean, I wanted to, but it wasn't like a driving passion. And I started practicing, and things were fine. But I knew that long term, it wasn't going to be the thing that would ultimately fulfill me. I definitely didn't feel like I was um, living my purpose, if you will. I I'm the sort of person, this is like one of the easiest descriptions because people get this. Like, I watch The Voice, like, I guess it's on NBC, and it's just like whatever, it's a competition show. And whenever they get one of those chairs to turn around, it's like that I get so excited. It's like I'm crying, I'm laughing every time it happens, every time I watch it. It's like that's what is exciting to me, like seeing someone else really get what they want, see someone's hard work pay off. And I think that's often what coaching is about. It's like we spend a lot of time helping people really get clarity around what they want and then actually getting it. And, you know, that to me was the closest thing was the closest thing to that, really seeing people get what they want.
That's incredible. So, but how
So
did you even find out about coaching? Like, did you hire a coach sometime and then you found out about
mhm.
it? Or did you just like sit in your lawyer's office one day and be like, okay, that's just what I want?
So I had known about coaching for a long time. Like when I was in college, my best friend referred to me as her life coach. She was like, "Oh, I need to check with my life coach before I like any decision, before I take this class, before I go out with this guy." So I knew about coaching, and we sort of joked about it. And it was something that sounded appealing to me, but I kept it in the back of my mind because I'd gone through so much school to become a lawyer, and practicing law, it's like a pretty prestigious field. And I think in some ways, coaching wasn't something that was taken seriously. I didn't think it was something that would be a viable move from going from law, which is this very, very prestigious area of law, where I'd gone through education, to going to coaching, which was not regulated at all. There was no set requirements in terms of how you practice it. So I knew about it for a long time. And, I guess I went through what I have to go through with a lot of my clients, which is sort of letting go of other people's ideas of what you should be or what's best for you or anything like that. Because I realized the things that were holding me back from pursuing coaching further were basically just my fears about judgment, um, and how other people might perceive me if after going down this long path and then switching to something else. So I'd say that was almost what I had to work through more than anything else, was my own worries and concerns. And then I did hire a coach, but I was very certain that I was going to pursue coaching before I hired a coach. But I didn't know that it was going to become my full-time business as quickly as it did. I really thought, I have a job, it's totally stable. Why don't I just start doing some side? It'll just be for fun. And really what I did, I started doing it on the side. I went through coach training. I hired a coach. I started my business, and then I just got busy with it. Basically, I really did not know that it was going to become a full-time position as quickly as it did.
That's incredible. I can so relate to what you said when you talked about realizing that coaching is something that you really want to do, and then all these fears coming up like, oh, it's not, is that really like a viable thing that I could do? And what's everybody else going to think if like a lawyer starts becoming a coach? And I totally felt the same way. When I first heard
Yeah.
about coaching, I thought, oh yeah, so entitled to say you're a life coach because, you know, nobody understands life. So how can you like coach people? And I just didn't understand it at all, but I had so many judgments around it. And then when I start realizing that this is my path, you know, just all the resistance came up for me. And I just kept thinking, I'm not sure this is for me. I'm not sure I'm confident enough. I'm not sure this is even something that could work. Like, this is such a new industry. How's that even gonna, you know, I don't know. And I just had all these fears and yeah, all these weird expectations around it. And it's really funny that this comes up for so many people. I just recently had a client and we realized that she is supposed to be a writer. And oftentimes people come to me, and maybe this happens to you too, and they think they have like one kind of career that works best for them, or they have this business idea or something that they think they are perfect for. And then something totally different turns out to be a much better fit for them. And it's really interesting when we think about the things that would work for us, and then also diagnose or analyze all the things that we think about it and why it couldn't work for us. And oftentimes it's really, like you said, other people's expectations and thoughts around the subject. That's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get that a lot because since I do mostly career and business coaching, most of the people who come to me are making some sort of transition. And you know, it's like sort of no matter what it is, people have a lot of concerns about how other people are going to respond to it. Yeah, I definitely see that quite a lot. But it's interesting also that you say that you're seeing it as well, because I find that a lot of times the things that come up with my clients, they're like reflecting something that I've been through or that I'm going through even.
Oh yeah, that's so true. It's really interesting when you're working with clients and then you realize that the thing that they're currently learning is something that you also have to heal a little more deeply. Yeah.
Totally. Totally.
So what was the hardest thing for you in this career transition?
Mm. The hardest thing for me, you know, I sort of think it's what we talked about, the mindset stuff, getting past all of that, because the work was really fun for me. Like, it was not, oh shoot. Oh my, slight, that was exciting. The hardest part for me was the mindset stuff. The work was always really fun. My clients were always fun. I shouldn't say they were always fun. Sometimes it was more challenging, or they went through something that was a little bit more challenging. But I would say letting go of sort of some of the ideas that I had about myself. And I think also leaving behind a career path that I had worked so hard on. You know, I know you're in Europe, but in the States for law school, it's like you have 4 years of college, and then you have 3 years of law school, and then you have to take the bar exam in whichever state that you're living in. And so I went through all that, and I took the California bar, which is, you know, one of the more challenging ones. And I had to really wrap my mind around this idea that it wasn't that it's like everything we go through, we're meant to go through. It's like there's sort of logical steps, even if we can't see them. And so now I really recognize this, and it's like I could never have gone straight from undergrad to becoming a coach. You know, it's like that experience is part of why I think I am a great coach, and I think why my clients really enjoy the work that we do together because of what we've been through. You know, and I think especially working with people on their careers, for me to have left behind a career that I put a lot of effort in, you know, a lot of my clients, that really resonates with them because they go through the same thing where they're like, well, I've had the same dream since I was 7, and now I'm 26, and it's actually not what I want to do anymore. And it's like a letting go process. You sort of have to grieve when you are, you know, releasing notions about yourself, and when you're releasing for me, what was really a whole career path. So I would say that was probably the biggest challenge I dealt with in making the actual transition.
Mm. I love that. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. I remember when I graduated from fashion school, I thought to myself, "Oh, well, I could work for a company," because I had a couple of job offers, I had a couple of ideas about what I wanted to do, and I was trained as a fashion manager, so I could have, done some really awesome things, but then I thought, well, but the more effort I put into this, like the harder it's going to be for me to then transition. It's like I'm just going to accumulate so many good memories and so much stuff. And in this very moment, I know that I want to run my own business. So I started my own business at 22. While nobody around me even understood, why I would even have such a crazy idea, because usually people start working and get some experience and then they even, start pondering, well, could I be a CEO one day? Could I run my own business? And I was just crazy enough to do it right away. And I didn't really know what I was up against. So I guess that's why I made that decision. I didn't know how hard and what it actually took to run my own business. But yeah, it's really true. And sometimes I even see this come up in relationships. Like when my clients talk to me about relationships, something that I hear often is that they say, but I put so much effort in it. Like, I don't want to back out now. Like I built this thing, like I built this relationship with this person, and how can I let it go now? And then it's so hard to really see how that was such an important step for us, and how it really prepared us for taking the next step now. And that it wasn't a loss at all, or a waste of time, or a waste of resources.
Yeah.
And also that sometimes we put in so much effort, and then, it just takes us elsewhere.
Yeah. That's so interesting that you say that. I have seen the same thing sometimes. I think women especially, it's very hard, and relationships in particular. I would say relationships even more so than careers. And it's that exact thing. I've already put so much work in with this guy. Why can't it work out now?
Yeah.
And I myself, where I've really tried to hold on to something that clearly wasn't working. But, and it's funny because I actually said this, I think yesterday I was talking to someone, because as you know, I'm engaged now, and there have been so many times where it's like I've so wanted a relationship to work, and now that I'm in this relationship that makes me so happy, and it's so easy in a lot of ways, just like, oh my God, that none of these other relationships worked out, because this one's very effortless in terms of our interaction. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to let go of some of those things, because it's like the things that we're meant to have stay with us. You're not going to lose out on something that's ultimately what is supposed to be yours. That's
Right.
my belief, at least.
Oh, yeah. And something that I especially love about you, Crystal, is that you are such a spiritual person, and you always have these incredible insights, and, you're just a very, very wise person. And I so love that about you. And
you.
I feel like something that I have been learning, and I'm still learning from you, is the whole piece around letting myself be guided, and knowing what I want, and taking the steps, and being really, really engaged, taking massive action. And at the same time, knowing that I am being directed, like there's a higher force that is guiding me here. And oftentimes I just have to be flexible and let go of what I think should happen, and just let the even better stuff come in.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's also something that I'm learning when it comes to the topic of changing careers and changing relationships and changing direction.
I think that's something that we're all sort of learning. I mean, for me, surrendering definitely has not been at all natural for me. I wouldn't say I'm type A. I think some people probably would. And so, it is hard sometimes, just like releasing control. But one thing that I have started to really see and believe is that, there's a difference between effort and struggle. So it's like making an effort. It's natural. It's like if you're working, if you're creating, if you're putting something out in the world, if you care about something, it makes sense that you would put in an effort. But once it moves into struggle, you're maybe making the effort in the wrong way. And it's like the difference can sort of be that struggle has all this negative emotion intertwined with it. Whereas effort is just like moving forward in a natural way and exerting your energy. And, I've noticed that when I am making an effort, and then it's like I'm efforting, and I'm like pushing so much work, and it's so hard, it's really difficult, and it becomes a struggle. So I'm like, it's not working. That's when I'm sort of try to let it go a little bit, because it could be that I'm just working on the wrong thing. I found that when you're on the right path, things just will line up for you. And sometimes it seems like magic, or it's like something just comes out of nowhere, where it's like, okay, now the ball is rolling, as they say. You start to build momentum. If the momentum's never building, then it's okay to choose a different path and try something different.
Right. I feel like one of my most precious business tools has become my humility. It's that moment when I realize, okay, I've been putting in so much work and so much effort, and it does feel like a struggle. It does feel like I'm pushing boulders uphill, and, I'm just not humble enough to let myself be redirected. I'm just not, grounded enough and present enough to really see what I'm being guided towards. And I keep running in the same direction that doesn't really get me anywhere. And it takes a lot of humility to say, okay, all of that hasn't been working. Yes, it prepared me, and yes, I learned a lot from it, but now I just have to let it go and really go, take the path of least resistance. That's always around the corner.
I think humility is like the most perfect word you could use for it. It's so true, because what I also find is that when I'm not being humble, there's also this part of me that's just not focused on my path even. It's like I might be on my path and things are going well, and then it's like I look over here and it's like, oh wait, what is she doing? Like, should I be doing that too? And it's like, it's very easy to get caught up with like what other people are doing, and it's like you're trying to follow someone else's path, then of course it's going to be bumpier. It's not your path. And that's something that I personally have really been trying to focus on and become aware of, and just, loosen up around, is not focusing on what other people are doing, and really not comparing, to where this woman's business is, or, the results her clients are getting, or, this, that, and the other. And it really is about humility. And it would be very egotistical to think that like you can do everything that everyone else is doing, which is not to mean that like you're not as good as they are or as powerful as they are, but you're you, and you have to sort of stick with that. That's really where your power is going to come from, not from trying to be somebody else.
What I especially loved about what you just said is the word power, because this is really where our power lies, when we're really in alignment with our soul and when we're really in alignment with our gifts. And I feel like every single time that I have a hard time in my business or even in my life is when I do something that I think I should be doing, as opposed to just following the guidance, like following my intuition and following what's easiest for me. And just recently, I started really getting into the MBTI personality test. And I'm an INTJ, and that means that I'm the most introverted of all the personality types. My personality type is so rare that it's called the unicorn, and some people don't even believe that people like me exist. So 0.08% of the world population have my personality type, like hardly anybody. And I'm the most introverted as well as the most private person, according to that test. And when I first got the results, I thought, oh my God, this is so true. This is so spot on. And how the hell am I going to make that happen in my business? Like, does that mean that I can't be a business person? Like, does that mean that I should, become a writer and just or, become a yogi and just sit in a cave? Because yes, I'm very private and I'm very introverted, but I do need to be around people and talk and, do all of my marketing for my business. And so it was just really interesting to, first of all, realize, to just see these parts of myself as interpreted by somebody else, like read about it as part of this personality test result, and then realizing that, that is me. And then, well, what are we going to do about it? But as soon as you know what works for you and what doesn't, you can get creative. And oftentimes we think we have to be somebody totally different than who we are, and we have to, work on ourselves to become somebody else or to become better. And yes, we can grow, but we don't necessarily have to change who we are at our core and how we function. Because everything that is hard for us and a challenge is also such a big gift. Like my gift of being so introverted and quiet actually really, really works in my business. And it means that I don't have like a huge social media following. And it doesn't mean that, it means that I'm not like standing on stage all day long, because that's just not where I shine. But by knowing that, I can build my business around it. And it's actually really, like, for me, the hardest part is, saying, yes, that's me. Okay. It's like, again, the humility part of, okay, I recognize this. I can embrace that part of myself. I accept this. And as soon as we can accept it, we can get innovative and creative and really build our businesses around it. And that's what's so amazing about running your own business. You can tailor it to you.
Yeah. I love that you bring up the MBTI. So I actually am an INFJ. So you're a thinker. I'm a feeler, which is actually surprising. I wouldn't have been surprised if we were the same type. But I'm not super introverted. Like it's a spectrum. So I'm actually not too far off from the extroverted, which makes sense because I do need to be alone to recharge, but I actually love speaking. I love working with groups. And, social media, actually, I quite enjoy it because I get to interact with people, but I can sort of do it on my own schedule. It's not that I have to be like out in a crowd all the time. And you said something else that what I was thinking of is you were saying, that's sort of where your power comes from. And I really strongly agree with that. One of the things that's struck me so much since I've known you is just like, I don't know if this is related to how introverted you are, but it's like you can like pinpoint like the deep issue like very fast. You're such a powerful coach. And I wonder if it has to do with like the way you're able to sort of listen to people and hear them and get them to like see things differently very quickly. It's just like you come up with these very probing questions, and I wonder if it's related to that.
Thank you. I do think that, I do feel like that is one of my superpowers, because I spend so much time so deep inside myself. I can go like straight to the issue. Like I don't see all the layers that people have, and I can see like beneath all of that. And this is an amazing example of using those gifts and not just using the shadow quality of the gift and being like, oh no, I should be doing this and that. I should be doing more. I should be different. Everybody else is doing it that way. But to really use like the light quality in that gift that we have and really focus on that. So I would also love to talk a little bit about a dream that you have that you still want to realize.
A dream that I have that I still want to realize. That's an interesting question. I have a couple of dreams. One is that I would really love to write a book. I have a lot of I don't know how to really say it. It's not, I wouldn't say like ideas per se. I have a lot of thoughts, and I've had certain experiences that I think if I could pare it down appropriately, could really be very valuable for people, and hopefully really help them. And so that is one of my dreams. I would love to write a book. I would love to write a book that's very meaningful and that has a huge impact on people. And yeah.
Beautiful. I also feel like you're kind of in between realizing dreams, because you just realized a big one of yours, because ever since I've known you, you've really wanted to find your life partner. You wanted to get married, and I remember talking about wedding dresses with you months ago, and now you're getting married, so that's really exciting. And something that you're such a
Yeah.
genius at is helping people find out what they really want and then helping them get it. And that's just so incredible. Like your transformation from being a single girl in New York City and now to being engaged to be married this year is just so incredible. So something that's really, yeah. So I would love to hear a little bit more about your process. Like, how do you go from having an idea, from being like, oh, this is something that I really, really want, and then overcoming all the obstacles and really making it happen?
Well, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. It's such a good point. And, there's one thing before I answer your question. I did just realize a really big dream of mine. And that has been something that I really wanted, obviously. I mean, and and, I think that partnership is really special and important. And it's something that really meant a lot to me. And one of the things that I think even helped me get there was first sort of taking more steps to realize myself as an individual. Because I have wanted to meet my husband, my partner, my soulmate for years. This isn't like I woke up and I was like, oh, I want to meet him, and like there he is. I mean, I've dated a lot, and there was a period where it was like I was working as a lawyer. It was fine. I didn't really love it, and I really just wanted to have. And I realized that part of the reason I probably wasn't attracting that person was because my vision for myself was too small for the person that I really wanted to meet. It wasn't going to line up. It's like I knew that I wanted this man who was kind and powerful and strong and loving, and who could, who would do his best to like give me the world. And I realized that a man like that would want someone who was a little bit more dynamic than just sort of sitting in this job that wasn't fulfilling her and having no ambition beyond getting married. And that was another part that sort of went into my thought process when I went in for my transition from practicing law to coaching. It was like I needed something outside of just wanting that relationship to really put my energy
Oh,
into, my
Crystal,
heart into.
you're sounding like a robot right now. I think your headphones are somehow. Can you say something?
What was that?
Okay, yeah, you're sounding like a robot.
So when the first part for me when I have anything that I want, basically. And so, I mean, in this context, we'll talk about relationships because that's what we're talking about. I started just by getting really, really clear on what that would actually look like. Because it's like you can't, I definitely believe in a higher power, a power that's higher than me, that is definitely supporting me, that's benevolent. And, I sort of think of it like things can line up if you are specific enough about what you want. And so I like to think of it like being pretty specific. Like you would never call up a pizza store and be like, send me a pizza. Like you would say what you want. And I'm not saying that the universe is the same as a pizza store. It's just like to make the analogy, because the more specific you are, the closer you can get to actually really, really getting it. And so I got really, really specific on what I wanted. I, sort of evaluated things from the past that I've had that were maybe close, but not quite right. And I just got very, very clear, like, not on things like how much money he made, but more like how the relationship would feel. So, and I would write this all down. So like, instead of writing like he's 6 feet tall and he has dark eyes and like a handsome face, I would write things like, I'm really attracted to him and he's very attracted to me. We have this great chemistry with each other. It's really easy to be around each other. And then I would write about the way the relationship would make me feel. I feel safe and supported and protected and loved. I feel cherished. I feel light and I feel like it's fun being around him. Like we make each other laugh so much. And I really got into like the way that it would feel, the way that it would look, without limiting it. Without limiting it to like only a guy who's a doctor or an investment banker or who's, over 6'2", but really just focusing on how I would feel about things. And then I released any of the beliefs that I had that it wasn't possible for me. And that took a lot of time, because, a belief is just a thought that you've thought a lot. But some of them become pretty deeply ingrained. If you've been thinking it for 20-something years, it's not something that you can just be like, oh, I'm not going to think that anymore. And I think that for many people, it sort of comes down to a belief of not deserving the kind of love that they want, or not being enough. And I don't know why that's like so deeply ingrained in so many people, but there were aspects of that I had also. And I had to sort of get past that. I had to forgive myself for believing it, and I had to really release it on a pretty deep level. And so that definitely took time. And then I just really, really believed that it was going to happen. And I cleared space for it. Like, I cleared space in my calendar. I cleared space physically in my life. I followed some feng shui tips. Like, I got matching nightstands, and I got matching lamps on them, and I cleared out his nightstand, and I cleared out drawers in my dresser. Just things like that, symbolically making space. And then I just dated. I was dating all the time, and I was very open because I knew what I wanted, but a lot of it would be a way that we would interact with each other, a way that we would feel with each other. And I didn't necessarily know, what he would look like, or what some of the descriptions of him might be. So I went out a lot, and I got exactly, well, and I shouldn't say exactly, I got more than I could have ever wanted or hoped for. And I think that's really a great way of approaching any goal, because once you get into the mindset of like, I've done my work, now things are just going to line up for me, and really believing that it's going to happen, it becomes inevitable. It really becomes inevitable.
I love that. Sometimes I even think to myself, well, actually, I think about this a lot. I keep thinking, I have this dream, and this dream is meant for me. Like, God and I made a plan before I came here. Like, everything is lined up already. Like, we have a plan. Like, He's there all around me, making sure that, the doors are open, helping me release all those limiting beliefs, helping me, learn my lessons, helping me grow into the person that can have that thing and that can hold that thing that I want. Because something that you also talk about a lot is wanting something that's big and that's, somehow out of our comfort zone, like a really loving relationship when we've never even had that before. And yes, we need to grow into it. And yes, we need to do our own work around that. And something that I hear people say a lot is that, oh, I want this thing and I want this and that, and then that's going to make me feel a certain way. And then when it's in their life, they can't really hold it, and their souls freak out because they haven't really grown into that new frequency. Like, it's such a difference in frequencies that they can't really hold it, or they get it and then they just destroy it in an instant. And all the upper limits kick in, whether that's like a big amount of money that people make. I just recently heard about an entrepreneur who made, incredible amounts of money in November and then zero in December and January. And now she's broke and selling her house. And she had, an incredible influx of money. And then her soul freaked out and she actually couldn't handle it. So another question that you ask yourself a lot, I hear this, is, who do I have to be in order to hold this? Like, who do I have to be in order to, be the woman for this incredible man that I'm envisioning? And what I really love is how you're so specific around the emotions and around the things that really matter, as opposed to, being so specific around what it will actually look like. Because like you said, it's going to limit me if I get so specific around the hair color because I could never know like who's best for me. That's what God knows. And in my human form, I don't have all the information. I need to trust my soul, and I need to trust God to execute on the plan. And all I'm here to do is say yes, and to let myself be surprised if something even better comes. And even now in my current relationship, like a prayer that I say all the time is, how can I let him be even more amazing than I could ever even imagine? Because it's so easy to think, oh, this is the best. You couldn't probably get any better when you're really in a happy relationship. But there's always more. Like the plan that God and I made is always better than I could ever dream up myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that's, for me, it was important to focus on the feelings because of what you're talking about with this sort of self-sabotaging behavior that people get when you described it as when they're wanting something that is at a different frequency. When they want something that's at a higher level than where they are, when they want something greater and better. And, I think what happens is that for a lot of people with love, especially, it becomes sort of this painful thing. Like they want that person that they can't have. They want this person who hurts them, who, and it's like, oh, but he's so handsome and he's so charming. When it's good, it's really good. And they're ultimately in this relationship that's really causing them a lot of pain because he disappears for periods of time or he doesn't show up. And that's, I've been in relationships like that where I really, really wanted it to work. And when I thought about it, like, how does this person make me feel? If someone asked me that, I'd be like, oh, it makes me feel amazing. Like, I've never felt like this before. But that was only for part of the time. Most of the time, it would be a longing, like a pain that I was feeling, or a sense of rejection. And I got used to that sort of feeling like love. And so moving into a relationship where it was always loving and supportive, there were moments where it didn't feel like love because it was very, very stable and calm and easy. It's almost like, it's like Taylor Swift always sings about these like exciting relationships. And I think that's how it is for a lot of people, where the ups and downs, you think that's the love. That's what's exciting. And that's not love. That's love and pain sort of alternating back and forth. And yeah, I think the self-sabotage is very common and it comes up very easily because, it's like we want to stay safe. And sometimes when you're doing something that's different, it just doesn't feel safe. And that's the bottom line. It's like unconsciously we're trying to get ourselves back to safety by ruining the best thing we've ever had because it feels too different, even if it feels good.
Something that I'm really learning right now is, and my coach is so incredible at helping me at that, because I can be some kind of like the kind of person who shoots for the stars. Like I want to be so far up. I want to do all the things tomorrow or right now. And my coach is really good at pacing me. And she always says, receive it and then I get used to it. Just acclimate. It's like push and acclimate, Hannah. And I've learned to go so incredibly slow. Like my pace is really baby steps these days because I come from a past of incredible trauma. I've had like eating disorders, anxiety disorders, PTSD, all that kind of stuff. Like I'm just not used to stability. I'm not used to having my feet on the ground, and I'm not used to having, money stability. That's like not what I've known for the biggest part of my life. And also thinking about my family dynamics, that's just not something that my family is used to having. And so I'm really getting out of my comfort zone here. Like it's just totally different. I'm completely turning around what my family what the collective souls in my family are used to experiencing, and I'm totally getting into a new paradigm here. And so obviously my soul is freaking out every time I make these big leaps. And something that has been so invaluable to me was really realizing when I'm starting to freak out, when I'm getting this feeling of and then I want to sabotage, or lose a bunch of money, or reject a friend, or just sabotage in some way. And just taking these little steps and getting used to acclimating myself has been so much better for me. Like my business is so much more stable because of it. My relationships are so much more stable. And it's not that, shit hits the fan every 2 months. And that's just so incredible. And something that is just really helpful to know about yourself. Like what's your well set point? Like what's your love set point? How much love are you used to? And how can you push it just a little bit as opposed to jumping like 10 steps ahead? And then, it's like this yo-yo effect. It doesn't just happen with like diets and body image. It really also happens in relationships and with money and business and career and all that kind of stuff. Like you said, getting ourselves back to that our place of safety, to this place that we're used to. Yeah. So we're getting to the end of our conversation. I would love to ask you a couple more questions. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received? So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I've been asked this question a number of times, and I've received some great advice. I've received some great advice. The best piece of advice I think I've ever received would be that no matter how far down one path you've gone, it's never too late to turn back. And I think that really lines up with what we've spoken about throughout our call today, because you don't have to keep sticking with something. And I don't look at things as like, oh, this is bad or this is good, because you can almost say that anything is relative. It's like you make a choice and then you get feedback about it. If you want more of that kind of feedback, then you can continue with it. And if you don't want more of that feedback, you do something different. And I think that's important for people to know. It's like life is this long journey. There's no reason that you have to stay with something forever if it's really not serving you, if it's not for your highest good. And so that was really good advice I heard, and that was very reassuring for me.
Beautiful. What's a book you're loving right now?
I am currently reading, so I'm actually reading two books. I don't usually read novels, but I'm reading The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Actually, by the time this show is out, it might actually be out. It's becoming a Netflix series. And so that sort of inspired me to pick that up. And it's fascinating so far. Very, very interesting. It's like a dystopian American story set in the future. And it's just very interesting with some of the things that are going on in the world today, some of the issues that are becoming really relevant. I think it's very, very interesting, sort of about the role of women and how they fit into society, especially. And then the other thing I'm loving, I'm reading Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and I'm really enjoying it. One of the things that was very interesting to me, and again, this is related to what we talked about with, putting your focus on other people. She sort of talks about how, an idea can come to you, and if you don't take it, you can lose it. It can go, it can find someone else. And I thought that was a really, really amazing idea, that when a really incredible idea comes to you, you have to be ready for it. You have to sort of accept it, because it may not just stay with you forever. It could move on to someone else. And I think as creative entrepreneurs as we are, it's like I've definitely experienced that. So I'm loving both of those.
Beautiful. I love what you said about the idea almost being this person or something that has its own feelings and its own direction and its own sense of, this is the person I choose. And that's how I feel about many things. Like when it comes to money, when money shows up in my life, I'm like, oh, money chose me. Like, thank you. Yes, definitely come in. Like, we can have a good time together. Same with an idea. Sometimes an idea comes into my life and it's really not for me at this time. And then I say, thank you. I'm sure you can find somebody who's more suited to you at this time. And it's just really great to honor these things because they are incredible gifts. I love that idea. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is something you are obsessed with right now?
What am I obsessed with? I'm obsessed with my fiance. What am I obsessed with? That's an interesting question. I'm generally like such an obsessive person.
I'm always obsessed with avocados. So that's I'm really into like Pinterest right now. Obsessed feels a little bit strong, but like I'm really getting into it. And I really love Instagram. I'm like a little obsessed with Instagram. So, like,
Beautiful.
all sorts of things I love.
Your fiance, avocados, Pinterest, and Instagram. That's a good mix. Awesome. Crystal, I love talking with you today. Everybody else, she has just created an incredible workbook. It's really cool, where she teaches you how to take your idea or even find your idea and then how to execute it and take it into a real thing and turn it into something that's real and tangible. And she's really an incredible career coach. She is a master at helping people find out what they're supposed to do with their lives. And yeah, head to her website, crystalmarshcoaching.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Everything we talked about today is also going to be in the show notes on my website, www.hannahbeer.com. Have a wonderful week, and thank you guys for listening. Bye.